The grand chamber was filled with noise. 12 different alien species shouted at each other. Their voices mixed together into a terrible sound of fear and anger. High Counselor Vexthar stood at the center, his forearms raised high, trying to calm everyone down. The holographic display showed the same terrible image again and again. Red markers spread across the star map like blood in water. Each red dot was a dead solar system. Each one meant billions of lives lost. The Kravith swarm had eaten 47 star systems in just 3 months. "We are running out of time," Vexthar said. His reptilian face looked tired and old. "Our military leaders say we have 1 year. Maybe less. Then the swarm will reach the core worlds. Then everything ends." A Chitauri commander stood up. Her insect-like body clicked as she moved. She was nervous. All the Chitauri were nervous now. Their homeworld was next in the swarm's path. "We bring 2,000 warships," she said. Her voice buzzed through the translator. "We will fight until the last ship falls." A being made of pure light floated forward. The Lumina had no body, just energy held together by will. When it spoke, the voice came from everywhere at once. 500 stellar destroyers stand ready," the Lumina said. "Each one can crack a planet. We will not let the darkness take us." One by one, the species offered their fleets. The synthetic mechanisms brought 800 dreadnoughts. The aquatic Thalax brought 300 carrier ships. The list grew longer. The combined fleet would be the largest in galactic history. Over 4,000 ships. Hundreds of thousands of warriors. Ambassador Hyunwoo sat quietly in the human section. He was a small man with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple black suit, nothing fancy. Most of the other ambassadors wore armor or glowing robes or had bodies covered in weapons. Hyunwoo just looked like a businessman. Humans had been part of the Galactic Council for only 10 years. Most species still saw them as children, cute little primitives who had just learned to travel between stars. The Council had let humans join because they felt sorry for them. Not because humans were important. Vexthar finally noticed Hyunwoo sitting there. The High Counselor's face showed something like pity. "Ambassador Hyunwoo," Vexthar said. His voice was gentle, like talking to a child. "We understand if humanity cannot contribute to the defense fleet. Your species is still young, still growing. No one expects that we will send 1 ship," Hyunwoo said. His voice was quiet but clear. The chamber went silent. Every eye, every sensor, every consciousness turned to look at the human ambassador. Then someone laughed. Then another. Soon the whole chamber was filled with laughter. The Chitauri clicked with amusement. The Lumina pulsed with light that meant joy. Even the serious mechanisms let out electronic sounds of humor. Vexithar held up his hands again. The laughter slowly died down. "Ambassador, I think there was a translation error," Vexthar said carefully. "Did you mean 1 fleet? 1 battle group?" "No," Hyunwoo said. 1 ship. The Dawn's Herald will represent humanity." More laughter. Louder this time. The Chitauri commander actually fell over, her legs giving out from laughing so hard. Vexthar was not laughing. He looked sad now. Disappointed. "Ambassador, please understand the scale of what we face," the High Counselor said. "The Kravith swarm numbers in the hundreds of thousands. They have adapted to every weapon we have. Plasma does nothing. Antimatter bounces off their hulls. Quantum disruptors just make them angry. And you want to send 1 ship?" Hyunwoo stood up. He was shorter than most beings in the room. His species was not strong or fast or long-lived. Humans had no natural weapons, no armor, no special powers. They were just soft meat wrapped in skin. But something in the way he stood made the laughter stop. "High Counselor," Hyunwoo said, "I understand your concern. I understand you think we do not grasp the danger. But I assure you we understand perfectly. We are sending exactly what is needed." 1 ship, a mechanism commander spoke up. His metal body was covered in weapons and armor plates. He had fought in 1,000 battles. "Human, you insult this council," the mechanism said. "We gather the greatest fleet ever assembled, and you mock us with 1 ship? This is either stupidity or arrogance," Hyunwoo smiled. It was a small smile, barely there. But some of the older council members saw it and felt something cold touch their hearts. "Neither," Hyunwoo said. "It is simply the truth. 1 ship is what we will send. 1 ship is what will be enough." "Enough?" Vexthar's voice rose. "Enough for what? To die bravely? To add 1 more wreck to the battlefield?" "Enough to win," Hyunwoo said. The chamber exploded with noise again. This time it was not laughter. It was anger. The human had gone too far. How dare this primitive species claim one ship could do what 4,000 could not? Vexthar raised his voice over the chaos. Ambassador Hyunwoo, please sit down. You are clearly not thinking straight. The stress of the situation has... The Dawn's Herald will arrive at the staging area in 3 days, Hyunwoo interrupted. I suggest you watch what happens when she enters battle. Then we can talk again. He walked toward the exit. His footsteps were quiet on the metal floor. Before he left, he turned back one last time. You have been fighting the swarm with the same weapons for months, Hyunwoo said. Energy weapons, shields, fancy technology. And the swarm adapted to all of it. Maybe it is time to try something different. And what could possibly be different about human weapons? The Chitauri commander asked. She had stopped laughing. Now she just sounded tired. Hyunwoo's smile grew a little wider. We have been killing each other for 10,000 years, he said quietly. We got very good at it. Then he was gone. The council sat in silence for a long moment. No one knew what to say. Finally, Vexthar spoke. Record that humanity is sending one ship to the defense fleet, he said. His voice was flat. Let it be noted that we tried to warn them. But deep in his mind, Vexthar wondered. He had been a politician for 300 years. He knew how to read people, even alien ones. And when he looked into Ambassador Hyunwoo's eyes, he had not seen stupidity or arrogance. He had seen absolute confidence. And that scared him more than anything. The swarm arrived like a living nightmare. Sensors detected them first. A massive cloud of biomechanical creatures moving through space. 50,000 units. Each one the size of a destroyer. Each one hungry. The alien fleet moved into attack formation. 4,000 ships spread across thousands of kilometers. Their weapons charged. Their shields powered up. Every commander prepared for the fight of their lives. The Dawn's Herald stayed at the rear, quiet and dark. Only its sensors were active, watching everything. On the bridge, Commander Haewon watched her displays. Data flowed across dozens of screens. She studied it all with cold focus. Admiral, she said, the swarm is maintaining formation. Speed constant. They are not trying to avoid the fleet. Admiral Dae-jung sat in his command chair. His mechanical fingers tapped a slow rhythm on the armrest. They do not need to avoid anything, he said. They have adapted to every weapon here. In their mind, they already won. The Chitauri fleet fired first. 2,000 plasma cannons lit up the darkness. Beams of superheated gas crossed the distance in seconds. They hit the swarm head-on. For a moment, it looked like it worked. Kravith units exploded. Their organic hulls burned. But then the burning stopped. The swarm adapted. Their skin changed color, changed texture. The plasma beams hit and just slid off. 2 minutes. That was how long it took for the swarm to become immune. The Lumina tried next. Their stellar destroyers fired beams of pure light. Energy so concentrated it could cut a planet in half. The beams hit the swarm and the creatures screamed. A sound that crossed space through quantum waves. A sound of pain, but pain did not kill them. They twisted and changed. Their hulls grew reflective. The light bounced off them like mirrors. 3 minutes. The mechanism fleet launched antimatter torpedoes. Hundreds of them. Each one carrying enough energy to destroy a city. They flew toward the swarm in perfect lines. The swarm released spores, clouds of biological matter that intercepted the torpedoes. When the antimatter exploded, the spores absorbed the energy, fed on it, grew larger. 4 minutes, the swarm counterattacked. They fired acid pods that melted through shields like paper. They launched parasitic drones that attached to ships and ate through hulls. They released viral clouds that infected computer systems and made ships turn on each other. Ships started dying. A Chitauri cruiser exploded, its reactor overloading. A Lumina destroyer went dark as the virus killed its energy core. A mechanism dreadnought spun out of control, its crew dead from biological weapons. The communication channels filled with panic. Fall back! Fall back! We cannot hurt them. Where are the humans? Why do they not fight? On Nexus Prime, High Counselor Vexthar watched the battle through holographic displays. His 4 hands gripped the edges of his chair. Ships were dying. His people were dying. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood beside him, calm as always. Your ship does nothing, Vexthar shouted. 30% of the fleet is gone. Tell them to fight. Hyunwoo did not look at him. His eyes stayed on the display. They are fighting, he said quietly. They are gathering data, learning patterns, finding weaknesses. You cannot win a war by rushing in. You win by knowing your enemy better than they know themselves. On the Dawn's Herald, Commander Haywan's fingers flew across her console. Numbers scrolled past her eyes. Attack patterns. Adaptation speeds. Chemical compositions. Energy signatures, Admiral, she said. I have it. 3 critical weaknesses. Daejung leaned forward. Report. Haywan pulled up holographic models of the swarm creatures. First, adaptation time. They need 2.3 seconds to analyze a new weapon and develop a defense. Second, coordination. They use quantum entanglement to link their minds. There are nexus units scattered through the swarm. Kill those and they lose coordination. Third, their hulls. They adapt to energy very well, but they have never faced kinetic weapons at relativistic speeds. She looked at the Admiral. Her eyes were hard. We can kill them all, sir. Every single one. Daejung stood up. His mechanical arm moved to the communication controls. All fleet units, this is Admiral Daejung, he said. His voice went out to every ship. Pull back 2,000 kilometers. Give us a clear firing line. The alien commanders were too desperate to argue. Their ships retreated, leaving a huge empty space between them and the swarm. The Dawn's Herald moved forward. Slowly, like a gray mountain floating through stars. It positioned itself between the fleet and the swarm, one ship, against 50,000. The swarm changed direction. All 50,000 units turned toward the human ship. They sensed prey. They sensed food. Daejung sat back down in his chair. He touched a control, and all across the Dawn's Herald, hatches opened. 300 railguns emerged from the hull. Commander Haywan, he said, target the Nexus units first. Full power, then spread fire across the formation. Yes, sir, she said. Her hands moved across the controls. Firing solution locked. All guns ready. Daejung took a breath. His mechanical fingers closed into a fist. Light them up. The Dawn's Herald fired. 300 railguns launched tungsten rods at 99% of light speed. The rods were invisible. Too fast to see. Too fast to dodge. Too fast to adapt to. They hit the swarm. The kinetic energy was incredible. When a 1-ton rod hit a Kravith unit at near light speed, the impact released more energy than a nuclear bomb. The creature did not just die. It vaporized, turned into plasma, into atoms, into nothing. 300 shots, 300 dead in the first second. The railguns reloaded. 5 seconds, then fired again. 300 more dead. The swarm tried to adapt. Their hulls thickened, hardened, grew layers of armor. But armor means nothing against that much kinetic energy. The rods punched through like the armor was not even there. 5 seconds, reload, fire. 300 more dead. The swarm tried to dodge. But how do you dodge something moving at near light speed? You see it and you are already dead. 5 seconds, reload, fire. Commander Haywan targeted the Nexus units with precision. One by one, the creatures that coordinated the swarm died. And as they died, the swarm's perfect coordination broke down. They stopped moving as one. They started bumping into each other. Confusion spread. The Dawn's Herald kept firing. 60 shots per second. Every second. The tungsten rods rained down like metal death. The space between the human ship and the swarm lit up with explosions, with vaporized biomass, with the death of a nightmare. The alien fleet watched in stunned silence. They had fought the swarm for months. They had lost thousands of ships, millions of lives, and in 5 minutes, one human ship had killed more swarm units than the entire fleet had killed in all those months combined. The Chitauri commander opened a communication channel. Her voice shook. How? How is this possible? Admiral Daejung answered without taking his eyes off the battle display. You adapted to them, he said. Made your weapons stronger, faster, more sophisticated. But the swarm adapted too. You were playing their game. We changed the game. We used weapons they had never seen. Weapons so old and simple they had no defense against them. The Dawn's Herald fired again, and again, and again. The swarm began to retreat. They tried to run. But they were slow compared to tungsten rods moving at near light speed. The Dawn's Herald picked them off one by one. On Nexus Prime, Vexthar stared at the display. His 4 hands hung limp at his sides. He could not speak, could not think. He just watched as one human ship tore apart an army that had killed billions. Ambassador Hyunwoo allowed himself a small smile. Still think one ship was not enough? He asked quietly. The battle was far from over. The swarm still had tens of thousands of units left. But now they were scared. Now they knew fear. and the Dawn's herald kept firing, patient and relentless as death itself. The Arcturus line stretched across space like a wall of light. 4,000 warships floated in perfect formation. Each one was beautiful in its own way. The Chitauri vessels looked like giant beetles made of metal. The Lumina ships glowed with inner fire. The mechanism dreadnoughts were black cubes covered in weapons. Then the human ship arrived. The Dawn's herald came out of faster-than-light travel with a flash of blue light. Every sensor in the fleet locked onto it immediately. Every commander wanted to see what the humans had brought. There was a long silence on all communication channels. The ship was big, about 3 kilometers long, but size was not what made everyone stare. It was the design, or the lack of design. The Dawn's herald looked like someone had welded together 100 gray boxes. It was all angles and flat surfaces. No curves, no elegance. Just thick armor plates bolted onto a rectangular frame. It looked ugly. It looked primitive. It looked like a flying brick. The Chitauri commander opened a communication channel. Her voice was full of confusion. "Human vessel, please confirm your identity. Are you a cargo ship? A construction ship? Where is your warship?" A man's voice came through the speakers. It was calm and deep. "This is Admiral Dae-jung of the Dawn's Herald. We are the warship. Requesting permission to join the formation." Another pause. Then laughter started again. It spread through the fleet like a wave. The alien commanders could not believe it. This box with engines was supposed to help them fight the swarm. Admiral Dae-jung did not seem bothered by the laughter. His ship moved slowly into position at the rear of the formation. It settled there like a gray mountain among stars. The Lumina commander sent a message to all ships. "All fleet commanders will meet aboard the flagship in 1 hour." The voice of light said, "We must plan our attack strategy. Human commander, you are invited as well." The meeting room was huge. Holographic displays covered the walls, showing the approaching swarm. Admiral Dae-jung walked in and every eye turned to him. He was an old man with silver hair cut very short. His right arm was mechanical, made of dark metal. Scars covered the left side of his face. He wore a simple gray uniform with no decorations. He looked like he had fought 100 battles and expected to fight 100 more. The mechanism commander spoke first. His voice was electronic and cold. "Admiral Dae-jung, with respect, why did your people send only 1 ship? Surely you have more?" Dae-jung sat down slowly. His mechanical arm clicked softly as he moved. "We have more ships," he said. "We sent this one because 1 is enough." The Chitauri commander made an annoyed sound. "You keep saying that. 1 is enough, but how? Your ship has no energy shields." We scanned it. "Just thick metal plates. 1 good hit from the swarm and you are dead." "Shields fail," Dae-jung said. "They run out of power. They can be overloaded. Armor just sits there and takes the hit. Simple. Reliable." A Thalax commander, a being that looked like a giant floating jellyfish, floated closer. "But your weapons," the Thalax said in a watery voice. "We scanned those too. Kinetic weapons? Mass drivers, railguns? Those are ancient. We stopped using those thousands of years ago." Dae-jung smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Ancient, yes," he said. "Simple, yes. But they work. Tell me, when the swarm adapted to your plasma cannons, what did you do?" The Lumina answered, its voice sad. "We increased the power, made the plasma hotter. It worked for a few days. Then they adapted again." "And your antimatter torpedoes?" Dae-jung asked the mechanism. "They learned to deflect the explosions," the mechanism said quietly. "Our best weapon became useless in 2 weeks." Dae-jung nodded. "The swarm adapts to energy. They learn patterns. They evolve defenses. But you cannot adapt to a chunk of metal moving at near light speed. Physics is physics. A railgun slug hits your ship at 99% of light speed, you die. No defense. No adaptation. Just a hole through your body." The room went quiet. The commanders looked at each other. "You want to see?" Dae-jung asked. "I will show you." The fleet moved to a nearby asteroid field. Dae-jung's second-in-command, Commander Hae-won, set up a demonstration. She was younger than the admiral, with sharp eyes and quick hands. She moved around the control stations like she had been born there. "Target asteroid selected," Hae-won said. "Distance 300 kilometers. Mass approximately 5 million tons. Composition, iron and nickel." The Dawn's herald turned slowly. On its hull, dozens of hatches opened. Long barrels emerged, each one bigger than a house. "Firing solution locked," Hae-won said. One round, 20% power. There was no sound in space, but every ship saw the flash. A tungsten rod 1 meter wide and 10 meters long, shot from the Dawn's Herald. It crossed 300 kilometers in less than a second. The asteroid exploded. Not just broke apart, exploded. The kinetic energy turned solid rock into plasma, into gas, into nothing. Where there had been a mountain of stone, now there was only dust spreading into space. The fleet communication channels filled with shocked voices. That was 20% power? The Chitauri commander asked. Her voice shook. Yes, HFY said. We have 300 railguns on this ship. Each one can fire every 5 seconds. At full power, each shot carries the energy of a small nuclear bomb. The mechanism commander did calculations in his computer brain. 300 guns. 5-second reload. That means you can fire 60 shots per second continuously. Correct, Daejung said. And we carry enough ammunition for 3 hours of continuous fire. Someone asked the question everyone was thinking. How? How do you power all that? How do you cool the guns? How do you carry so much ammunition? Daejung stood up. His mechanical arm moved to point at the holographic display of his ship. See all that armor? All those thick plates you think are primitive? Half of them are not armor. They are manufacturing plants, resource processors, ammunition factories. My ship does not just carry ammunition. It makes ammunition. From asteroids, from debris, from destroyed enemy ships. We can fight forever. The Lumina commander pulsed with confusion. But why? Why build a ship like this? It seems so brutal, so inelegant. Daejung looked at the being of light. His scarred face was hard. Because war is brutal, he said. War is not elegant. War is not beautiful. War is about making the other side stop fighting. And we humans have fought wars for 10,000 years. Against animals. Against nature. Against each other. We learned every lesson the hard way. He touched his mechanical arm with his human hand. I lost this arm in the human unification wars. Before we reached the stars, we nearly destroyed ourselves. Nuclear weapons, biological weapons, things I will not name. We stopped just before the end. And we learned. We learned that the winner is not the one with the fanciest weapon. The winner is the one still standing when the smoke clears. An alarm sounded. Every display flashed red. Commander HFY's voice came through the communication system. Admiral, the swarm has been detected. They will be here in 6 hours. Daejung nodded once. Then we prepare, he said. Commanders, get back to your ships. Follow your battle plans. My ship will stay in the rear and observe. Observe? The Chitauri asked. You will not fight with us? First we watch, Daejung said. We learn how the swarm fights. We find their weaknesses. Then we strike. 1 shot, 1 kill. No wasted ammunition. No wasted lives. This is how humans fight. As the meeting ended and the commanders returned to their ships, Vexthar contacted Ambassador Hyunwoo back at the council. I have seen the human ship, the High Counselor said. I still do not understand. One ship cannot... Wait, Hyunwoo interrupted gently. Just wait and watch. The battle will start soon. Then you will understand. And across the fleet as the ships moved into battle formation, every commander wondered the same thing. What could one human ship do that 4,000 could not? They would find out soon enough. The battle had been going for 30 minutes. The Dawn's Herald had destroyed over 20,000 swarm units. The space around them was filled with debris and clouds of vaporized biomass. But the swarm was learning. Commander HFY watched her displays with concern. The numbers were changing. Admiral, kill rate dropping, she said. They are adapting their movement patterns. Evasive maneuvers becoming more effective. We are down to 40% efficiency. Admiral Daejung nodded slowly. His mechanical fingers drummed on his chair. Expected, he said. They are smart. They learn, but we learn faster. The remaining swarm had pulled back into a tighter formation. They moved in zigzag patterns now, unpredictable, random, harder to hit with precision fire. They had also grown thicker armor on their fronts. The tungsten rod still killed them, but now it took 2 or 3 hits instead of 1. The Chitauri commander contacted the Dawn's Herald. Her voice was worried. Admiral Daejung, they are adapting to your weapons too. Should we join the attack? No, Daejung said. Stay back. We are just getting started. He touched a control on his chair. Deep inside the Dawn's Herald, massive machinery came to life. The ship was more than a warship. It was a mobile factory. Resource processors pulled in debris from destroyed swarm units. Chemical analyzers broke down the biomass. Manufacturing plants reshaped metal and minerals. Within minutes, new ammunition was being created. But not just ammunition, something else too, Commander, Daejung said. Deploy the swarm protocol. Haewon's fingers moved across her controls. A new display opened showing thousands of small signatures. Deploying now, sir, she said. 10,000 units ready. Hatches along the Dawn's Herald opened. Small objects poured out. Each one was about the size of a basketball. They scattered in all directions, moving fast on tiny thrusters. The swarm detected them immediately. They fired acid pods and parasitic drones. Some of the small objects were destroyed, but there were too many. Most of them got through. The Lumina commander watched with confusion. What are those? The voice of light asked. Autonomous combat drones, Haewon answered. Very simple. Just a thruster, a basic computer, and an explosive charge. Each one costs almost nothing to make, and they are too small for the swarm to track effectively. The drones spread out around the swarm. They did not attack. They just positioned themselves. Thousands of them formed a sphere around the remaining swarm units. Each drone found a specific spot and stopped. The swarm did not understand what was happening. The drones were not attacking. Were they just watching? Gathering data? All drones in position, Haewon reported. Ready for synchronized detonation. Daejung leaned forward. Execute. 10,000 explosives detonated at exactly the same moment. The explosions were small individually, but together they created a massive shockwave that traveled inward. The swarm units were compressed together, pushed into a tight ball by the force of the blast wave. They tried to spread out, tried to escape, but they were packed too tightly. They crashed into each other, tangled together, unable to maneuver. Target lock on compressed mass, Haewon said. Her voice was calm, professional. Main cannon ready. The alien fleet had been watching closely. Now they all focused on a new part of the Dawn's Herald, a section of the hull that had not opened before. A massive door 50 meters wide began to slide apart. Behind it was the biggest gun anyone had ever seen. A railgun the size of a skyscraper. Its barrel stretched back through half the length of the ship. The mechanism commander did a quick analysis and his electronic voice actually stuttered. That cannon. The power requirements. How do you even fire something that large? We divert all power from everything except life support and shields, Daejung said. Every reactor, every battery, everything, for one shot, and the projectile weighs 500 tons. Energy readings spiked across the fleet's sensors. The Dawn's Herald was pulling in so much power it looked like a small star. Charging complete, Haewon said. Firing. The main cannon fired. A 500-ton slug of tungsten and titanium alloy launched down the barrel. Electromagnetic fields accelerated it faster and faster. By the time it left the gun, it was moving at 99.5% of light speed. The kinetic energy was beyond comprehension. When something that massive hits something at that speed, physics becomes simple. Everything in the way dies. The slug hit the compressed swarm. It punched through the first layer of creatures like they were paper. Then the second layer. Then the third. It kept going. The energy transfer was so massive that everything around the impact point vaporized, turned into plasma, into light, into energy. The explosion lit up space for thousands of kilometers. When it faded, half of the remaining swarm was simply gone. Not destroyed, gone, vaporized completely. The survivors scattered in panic. Their coordination was shattered. They fled in all directions, no longer an army. Just scared animals running for their lives. But there was nowhere to run. The alien fleet, inspired by what they had seen, moved forward. The Chitauri used their plasma cannons differently now, short bursts instead of long beams, hitting the swarm before they could adapt. The Lumina coordinated their stellar destroyers, overwhelming the creatures with multiple angles of attack. The mechanism fleet used their antimatter torpedoes in combination with kinetic missiles. The swarm could adapt to one or the other, but not both at once. They had learned from the humans. Do not fight fair. Do not be predictable. Use every weapon, every trick, whatever it takes to win. The Dawn's Herald continued firing its railguns. The main cannon needed time to recharge, but the smaller guns never stopped. One shot every 5 seconds. 300 guns. Never stopping, never slowing. Commander Haewon noticed something on her sensors. something big hiding in the back of the swarm formation. "Admiral, I am detecting a massive biosignature," she said. 10 times larger than any other swarm unit. It has been hiding behind the others this whole time. Daejong stood up, his mechanical hand clenched into a fist. "The intelligence," he said. "The Queen?" "The brain behind the whole swarm. All this time they were protecting it." Haewon pulled up a visual. The creature was huge. A massive blob of biomass with thousands of tentacles. Its skin pulsed with light. Quantum signals radiating from it to coordinate what was left of the swarm. It was trying to escape. Moving away from the battle. Slowly but steadily. "We need to kill it now," Daejong said. "If it escapes, it will rebuild. This whole fight will mean nothing." He opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Daejong. We have found the swarm intelligence. Coordinates transmitting now. We need combined fire. All weapons. Everything you have. Hit it with everything at once." The alien commanders responded immediately. They had seen what human tactics could do. They trusted him now. 4,000 ships turned toward the target. Railguns, plasma cannons, antimatter torpedoes, energy beams, missiles, everything, they all fired together. The swarm intelligence tried to defend itself. It grew armor. It released spores. It fired back with acid and parasites. But there was too much coming at it. Too many different weapons. Too many angles of attack. The creature screamed. A sound that crossed space through quantum waves. A sound of rage and fear and pain. Then it died. The remaining swarm units stopped moving. Without the intelligence to guide them, they just floated in space. Empty shells. The alien fleet finished them off quickly. Silence fell across the battlefield. The communication channels were quiet. Everyone was processing what had just happened. The swarm was dead. All of it. The nightmare that had consumed 47 star systems was gone. The Chitauri commander was the first to speak. "We won," she said. Her voice was full of disbelief. "We actually won." Admiral Daejong sat back in his chair. He looked tired, old, but satisfied. "Yes," he said quietly. "We won." On Nexus Prime, High Counselor Vexthar stared at the battle display. The red markers were gone. All of them. The swarm was dead. He turned to Ambassador Hyunwoo. The human was smiling that same small smile. "One ship," Vexthar said slowly. "You said one ship would be enough." And it was. "How did you know?" Hyunwoo walked to the window. Outside, stars shone in the darkness. "Because we have been fighting for 10,000 years," he said. "Against each other. We know war. We know how to adapt. How to innovate. How to win when winning seems impossible. That knowledge is in every human ship. Every human soldier. We do not need numbers. We have skill." He turned back to face the High Counselor. "One ship was enough because it was a human ship, and now you understand what that means." 3 days after the battle, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council looked different. The fear was gone. The panic was gone. Instead, there was a strange mixture of relief and embarrassment. High Counselor Vexthar stood at the center. His forearms were folded in a gesture of respect. Around him, the 12 species sat quietly, waiting. Ambassador Hyunwoo walked in. He wore the same simple black suit. His face showed no emotion. He sat down in the human section and waited. Vexthar spoke first. His voice was different now, softer, respectful. "Ambassador Hyunwoo," he said, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, I apologize. We dismissed you. We laughed at you. We thought humans were too young, too primitive to understand the threat we faced. We were wrong." The chamber was silent. Every species listened. This was not just an apology. It was history being made. "We have analyzed the battle," Vexthar continued. "One human ship destroyed 67% of the swarm. The rest of the fleet, all 4,000 ships, accounted for only 33%. Your ship took minimal damage. Your casualties were 0. While we lost over 1,200 ships and millions of lives." He paused. His reptilian face showed something like shame. "You were right. One ship was enough, and we should have trusted you." Hyunwoo stood up slowly. He looked around the chamber. At the Chitauri, the Lumina, the mechanisms, all the species who had laughed at him. "Apology accepted," he said simply. "You did not know. How could you? Humanity has only been in space for a short time. We are still new to the galaxy, but we are not new to war." The Chitauri commander stood up. Her insect body was bandaged in places. She had been injured in the battle. "We wish to learn from you," she said. "Your tactics. your weapons, your way of thinking. Will you share this knowledge with us? Other voices joined in. The Lumina wanted to understand kinetic weapons. The mechanisms wanted to study the manufacturing systems. The Thalax wanted to learn about combined arms tactics. Hyunwoo held up his hand. The chamber went quiet. We will share some knowledge, he said. Training programs, tactical advice, strategic partnerships, but not everything. Humans learned a long time ago not to put all our weapons in one basket, not to trust completely, not to show our full hand. Some council members looked disappointed. Vexthar just nodded. He understood. Trust is earned slowly. That is fair, the High Counselor said. But we would like to create a new position on the council. Military advisor? Someone who can help us prepare for future threats. Someone who understands war the way humans do. He looked at Hyunwoo. We would like to offer this position to Admiral Daijung. Hyunwoo smiled. The Admiral is honored, but he must decline. He is needed elsewhere. However, Commander Haewon has agreed to accept the position. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Haewon was young, but she had proven herself in battle. She had coordinated the Dawn's Herald with precision. She had found the swarm intelligence. She deserved respect. We accept, Vexthar said. Commander Haewon will be welcomed. The mechanism commander spoke up. His electronic voice was curious. Ambassador, may I ask a question? Why did humans develop such devastating weapons? Your railguns, your manufacturing systems, your tactical thinking. This level of military development usually takes thousands of years. But your species only reached space travel recently. Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was sad. Because we have been fighting each other for 10,000 years, he said. Long before we reached the stars, humans were at war. Tribe against tribe. Nation against nation. Ideology against ideology. We developed nuclear weapons. Biological weapons. Chemical weapons. We came very close to destroying ourselves. Multiple times he walked to the holographic display, touched a control. An image of Earth appeared. Blue and green and beautiful. This is our home world, he said. It is small, not rich in resources compared to many planets. But it taught us to fight, to survive, to win against impossible odds. Because if we did not, we died. The chamber was completely silent now. Every species understood. Every species had their own history, but none had a history quite like humanity's. The swarm adapted to energy weapons because that is what you used. Hyunwoo continued. You all reached space peacefully. Your wars were small, limited. You never needed to develop the terrible weapons humans created. You never needed to think like we think, to fight like we fight. He turned back to face the council. Our history is dark, he said, bloody, full of mistakes and horrors. But it made us what we are, and what we are is very, very good at war. Vexthar stepped forward. He looked old suddenly. Tired. I have one more question, he said quietly. The Dawn's Herald. Is it your most powerful ship? Hyunwoo met his eyes. For a long moment he said nothing. Then he smiled that small smile again. No, he said. The Dawn's Herald is a patrol cruiser. We use it for routine operations. Border patrol. Escort missions. That sort of thing. The chamber went dead silent. Every eye stared at the human ambassador. A patrol cruiser? The Chitauri commander whispered. That ship destroyed the swarm. And it is just a patrol cruiser? Hyunwoo nodded. We have 47 capital ships, he said calmly. Each one is 3 times the size of the Dawn's Herald. 3 times the weapons. 3 times the manufacturing capacity. We also have 200 ships of the Dawn's Herald class. And thousands of smaller vessels. Vexthar sat down heavily. His 4 arms hung limp. You did not send 1 ship because that is all you had, he said slowly. You sent 1 ship because that is all you needed. Yes, Hyunwoo said. Exactly. The Lumina being floated forward. Its voice was soft, almost afraid. What happens if humanity ever goes to war, it asked. What happens if we face human weapons instead of fighting beside them? Hyunwoo looked at the being of light. His face was serious now. No smile. Humanity does not want war, he said. We have seen enough war. Fought enough war. We came to the stars looking for peace, looking for friends, for partners. That is still what we want, he paused. But if someone forces war on us, if someone threatens our people, our allies, then yes, you will see what humans can do. And I promise you, it will be worse than what the swarm faced. Because the swarm was just an animal. Humans are smart, creative, ruthless when we need to be. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Vexthar stood up again. Then let us make sure we remain friends, he said. Let us make sure we never face human weapons. Let us make sure we fight together, not against each other. Hyunwoo nodded. He extended his hand. Vexthar looked at it for a moment, then reached out with one of his 4 hands. They shook. A human gesture. A sign of agreement. Of partnership. Friends, Hyunwoo said, and allies. Far from the council at the Arcturus line, the Dawn's Herald prepared to leave. The ship's hull was scarred from battle. But it was whole, functional, ready for the next mission. Admiral Dae-jung stood on the bridge. Commander Haewon was packing her things. She would be leaving soon, going to Nexus Prime to take her new position. You will do well on the council, Dae-jung said. They need someone like you, someone who understands. Haewon smiled. They are good people, she said. They just needed to learn. To see that there are different ways to fight. Different ways to think. Will they truly be our friends? Dae-jung asked. Or will they fear us now? Haewon looked out at the stars. Both, she said. They will be our friends because they need us. And they will fear us because they know what we can do. But that is fine. A little fear leads to respect, and respect leads to lasting peace. The alien fleet was still there. They had stayed to watch the Dawn's Herald leave. As the human ship powered up its faster-than-light drive, every alien ship dipped its bow. A salute. A gesture of respect usually reserved for fallen heroes. The Dawn's Herald returned the salute. Then in a flash of blue light it jumped to faster-than-light travel and was gone. The Chitauri commander watched it go. Her second-in-command stood beside her. Commander, the second said, do you think the humans are really our friends? The commander thought for a moment. Yes, she said finally. But more importantly, I am glad they are not our enemies. Across the galaxy, the news spread. The swarm was dead. The nightmare was over, and humanity had saved them all with just one ship. Some species celebrated, some worried. Some started making plans to build better relationships with humans. All of them understood one simple truth. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. They had thought humans were weak, primitive, young, and foolish. They would never make that mistake again. On Earth, in a military command center, a young officer approached his superior. Sir, the reports from the Arcturus line are in. The Dawn's Herald performed perfectly. The alien species are impressed. Scared, but impressed. The superior, an old woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, nodded. Good, she said. Continue the construction of the new capital ships. Continue training. Continue preparing. We are part of the galaxy now, and the galaxy is full of dangers. But we won, ma'am, the young officer said. The swarm is dead, the old woman smiled. It was a tired smile. The smile of someone who had seen too much war. We won this time, she said. But there will be other threats. Other enemies. And we need to be ready. Because humans do not fight fair. We do not fight honorably. We fight to win. And we will do whatever it takes to protect our people. She looked up at a display showing the stars. One ship was enough this time.